This app is in the App Store right now, and I built it entirely with AI. You can't just push a bunch of random nonsense to the App Store and hope it runs, obviously. Mobile applications are not like web apps, and AI will not let you prompt your way out of understanding the core fundamentals that makes development for iOS and Android so different. In this video, I'm going to explain the core principle of development builds, which are fundamental to getting your app running on a real phone and let you test the native-only features that make it what it is. I'm talking here about the camera, social sign-in, push notifications, haptics, deep linking, location tracking, and 101 other capabilities. People can have a tendency to breeze over this, and it costs them weeks wondering why they can't make progress with their mobile applications. In my view, when using AI agents to build a mobile app, there's only really one framework worth considering, and that is React Native with Expo. So let's dive in. The first thing to understand when it comes to mobile apps is that mobile apps require what we call native code. And native code is written in Swift for iOS and it's written in Kotlin for Android. When we use React Native, we use a web language called JavaScript. And some of the code in our app actually just runs in JavaScript. So when we create our development environment, we're literally just using React Native code via JavaScript, and then that is going to be passed directly through and run on the mobile device. But there's also this component of native code, and this is necessary for things like camera access, haptics, sign in with Google, and in the case of this app, I'm going to need it for some of the map functionality. So when we build our development environment, what we actually have to do is send a build to a bunch of servers that are run by a company called Expo. This same company will let us build our production version and also push the app to the App Store automatically. But for now, what we have to do is we have to compile the native code. I'm running this with iOS, so it's going to need to compile Swift on its servers and then give me back a build that I can then install on my iPhone locally. That will enable me to use the native code in tandem with the JavaScript code. So I can change the JavaScript code and it will change automatically. But underneath the hood, there's going to be some native code that's already going to be built and installed on my phone only for me. It's not going to be on the App Store at all. It's not even going to be linked to the App Store. So I've got a totally blank React Native project here, and I'm inside of the project folder. I've called my app Climate Nomad, and this is the Climate Nomad mobile app folder. Inside of it, I've got a whole bunch of files that get generated when you initiate a React Native and Expo project. But I need these native dependencies because I want sign in with Google, and I also want libraries that will control Mapbox, which is a mapping service that I need for creating my contour maps and globe animations. So I'm going to give Claude Code a prompt. And I've actually been chatting with Claude on the web here to figure out what libraries I need for it. It's given me a bunch of suggestions, and we've settled on using Mapbox GL. And then it gave me a prompt that I can give to Claude Code to install the right libraries. So I can literally just copy this and paste it into Claude Code. This is going to get the app ready. And then once it's ready, I'm going to send it to EAS, and it's going to build the native code for me. Okay, so Claude Code has now added all of the native configuration that I need. The other thing that gets included in a development build is the app assets, like the home screen icon or the splash icon. So I've gone into Canva here and I've whipped up a home screen icon. I just need to include that in the assets folder and then I'm done. Now what I can do is actually send this up to EAS, and this will compile all of the native code for me. So I'll go ahead now and tell EAS to build for iOS, and this will be a development build. This actually hooks into the App Store and does all of the heavy lifting configuration for me. EAS is a really cool tool and it has totally changed the game with iOS development. So I just need to log into my Apple account and it's gonna configure all of the profiles and certificates and test devices for me. It even sets up push notifications and push keys and API keys, everything. And bear in mind, this is before I've actually done anything for building my app. And what's more, I can actually just do this for free. There's a free tier with EAS. So I'll just wait about 30 minutes for that to build, and then I will be able to tell Claude Code to start building out my features. So it's been about 30 minutes, and what EAS returns to me is a QR code. So I just need to scan this with my iPhone and hit install. And now I end up with the development build of my application. You can use the AI to spin up development servers from this point, but actually it's much easier to type in the command npx expo start. This also gives me a QR code. And this is for the JavaScript part, the part that I can actually edit now in real time. Now I've got native code installed on my actual phone, but I've got JavaScript code running in my code editor still. But there's one more thing that I need, and that's a backend. My favorite backend is Supabase. It's going to provide me authentication, a database, storage, and a whole bunch of other routines. But actually, I don't need to connect this to the cloud just yet, because I can actually spin up Supabase locally right here on my laptop with the command supabase start. This will spin me up a database on my local machine, and I can connect this directly to my mobile app. Once that's ready, I've got a whole database and authentication system sitting right here at what we call localhost, which is just the URL address of my own machine. And this comes complete with an authentication system where I can add users. I just need to add the credentials that Supabase gave me to a .env file, an environment file inside of my codebase. And Supabase will actually let my React Native application connect to it using this IP address, which is for my local area network, my LAN. That's my Wi-Fi network in this case. And Supabase is occupying a particular port on my machine, 54321. Now when I hit reload, everything will start to work. So this is the scaffold of my app with authentication included. I don't have Google or Apple sign up working just yet, but I can continue with email and create an account. So I'll give it an email and password, and then I will sign up. Now Expo has also actually set up notifications for me, which is really cool. And Supabase can take care of email as well. Now we got an app skeleton with a profile page and a homepage ready for this new app concept. And if I head back to my web browser running localhost and I hit refresh, I'll see my new user appear. Once all of this is in place, you have a full end-to-end development environment. You can build the entire app here, tweak it, polish it, and you will always return to it for doing updates and bug fixes. But now that your development environment is up and running, you might be wondering how you go from there to a finished app. So check out this next video to see where to go from here.